right, so our first speaker slash performer I'm really excited about. Derek Stroker is a masterful storyteller and artist who's redefining music from his early days with a drum set to becoming an award-winning multi-instrumentalist and songwriter. His passion is woven into every note. Some of his latest recordings bring you on a journey into the world of R&B and soul, influenced by greats like B.B. King, Cream, and the Beatles. You had me at the Beatles, my friend. His music is a blend of genres that defy boundaries. Derek is more than a musician. He is a family man, dedicated artist, and a source of inspiration. With new projects on the horizon, his mission is clear: to create music that resonates with unrelenting love, brutal honesty, and undeniable hope. Welcome to Derek's musical world, where every sound is a feeling that lasts a lifetime. Welcome, 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 Derek Stroker.
Well, hello. How's everyone doing? Good. All right. So, Anna, thank you so much for having me out here. I know it's kind of been a fast-tracked process, but I'm excited to be here. Excited to be singing super early in the morning. I only do this on radio usually, so. But yeah, so I heard that it's about perspectives today, right? So I have a few different perspectives on creative, on life. First of all, so a little kind of background about my story. I've loved music since I was a very, very young little kid. Music always played a big part in my life, and I'm so thankful for music to have given me a path in life, right? But creativity has always been at the forefront of my life. So not just music, but design as well. So part of the song that I'm going to be playing, part of that perspective is coming out of a 10-year-long stint in art direction and design, and kind of full circle coming back to music and doing it full time now for about a year so far. So keeping it short, keeping it quick. This song that I'd like to play for you guys today, it's called This Island, and it was kind of birthed out of the pandemic. And I used to be a really outgoing, kind of social butterfly, as you will. And the pandemic freaked me out. It really did, and it made me close in and kind of become this island. And this perspective is breaking through and leaving that behind. So it's called This Island, y'all. All right. Feeling like I'm stuck on this island, running out of time, and everything's a little off track. Even when I'm lost in an ocean, still I keep on hoping. Never will I ever go, will I ever look back. Pressure make a dime. God, He knows I'm trying. Didn't know how I would react. Look at me and shine. Yeah, I put the time in. Never will I ever go, will I ever look back. Never will I ever look, will I ever look back. trying. Look at me, I'm shining. Yeah, I put the time in, I put the timer. Pressure make a diamond. God, he knows I'm trying. Look at me, I'm shining. Yeah, I put the time, I put the timer. Normally there's like a solo here, and I normally have a looper pedal and do it, but we're doing acoustic, so we'll go back into this part. Whoa, 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 Now I feel at home on this island, running out of time. Now I feel at home on this island, left it all behind, and that is just a matter of fact. Never felt so comfortable in my skin. Yeah, just let it sink in. Never will I ever go, will I ever go back. Never will I ever go, will I ever go back. Whoa, 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 whoa. Alright, y'all, so that was called This Island, alright? It's out on Spotify. I released it. It's actually one of the first songs that I released when I kind of came back to my music career. And it's a very special song. Trying to just break out of that, like, you know, staying at home and being sulky and all that stuff. Trying to get out, and I'm excited to be here and be in front of you guys. I do play a lot around town. I play over at Splitsville and House of Blues quite a bit and that kind of thing. Do a lot of private events, and I'm just excited to kind of be back in music just in general. Do I have time for one more song maybe, or no? Yeah, I'll do one at the end. Awesome. Yeah, but thank you so much. Once again, my name is Derek Stroker. I do have some cards if you guys want to, come say hey, and I'd love to be all your friends. So thank you so much. Appreciate it.
That was awesome. Thank you, Derek. Our next speaker. Oh, by the way, my family just texted me and reminded me that today's Good Friday. So happy Good Friday if you celebrate it. And our next speaker, Carl Murray III, transitioned into design and brand after years as an independent hip-hop artist. He now runs an agency called Endurance that focuses on strategy, identity, and content for wellness, lifestyle, and sports brands. Please welcome Carl Murray III.
Good morning, everyone. How are you? Morning. Good morning, everyone. How are you? Okay, there we go. Awesome. That's going to be a hard act to follow. Derek sounded amazing, but I'm going to give it a shot. I haven't had any matcha yet today, so bear with me, and we'll try to figure it out. So what I'm going to talk to you today about is individualism and how to lean into it and essentially make it your superpower as opposed to, maybe running away from it. I know maybe 2 or 3 people here. The rest I don't know, so we'll just address the elephant in the room, which is, who am I? That's my boy Conor McGregor there. You guys might know who he is. My name is Carl Murray III. Despite my boyish good looks, I'm 38 years old, father of 4, 3 boys, 1 girl, principal and brand strategist at Endurance. I'm a diehard Orlandoan. I was born at ORMC long ago, 1985. I'm a gym bro. I haven't been to the gym yet today. Also a reason why it might be a little bit sluggish. I just started running for fun, maybe like last year. My max is 10K. My partner Brandon is here. He's preparing for a marathon, so I'm gonna leave like the longer stuff to him, but I'm not running any further than 10K. I'm a coffee shop nut. My favorite coffee shop here is Deeply. Stemma's great, Lineage is great. There are a lot of great coffee shops around town. I believe that coffee shops are the best place to pay attention to both brand and community at the same time. I feel like they do it pretty elite levels. I'm a Nike guy, but New Balance treats me good too, as you can see. I'm a member of the Paramore board of directors for Paramore Main Street. My favorite hobbies are interior design and architecture, so if you go on my YouTube feed, you'll see a lot of interior design, you'll see a lot of architectural stuff. And I was most recently selected as a Creative Ladder Future Leader for Brand Week 2024 in Miami, so that's who I am. So, despite running an agency, I've never worked for an agency, and I did not go to college for brand design or anything. The way that I came into this space and the way that I got this level of expertise is pretty interesting, and that's what we're going to talk about today. This is also me. Many years ago, 15, 20-ish at this point, I was an independent hip-hop musician by the name of West Fifth. A lot of people consider me a pioneer of Orlando music. I've toured everywhere from Miami up the East Coast all the way up to New York. I've been in every major publication there is that has to do with hip hop. We licensed a song for Step Up 2 called Haters Everywhere with my collaborator B.O.B. And it was around this time that I got into design, because I learned very quickly that it gets expensive to pay designers to do your mixtape covers and your posters and everything needed to properly market yourself the way you need to in that space. So I found a friend of mine that somehow always got lower priced MacBooks, and I bought a MacBook, and I found a way to pirate Photoshop, and I pirated Photoshop, and I looked around at some of my favorite designers and who they were, and I copied them and taught myself how to design, and that led to me doing it for other people and other artists, and then eventually I started doing club flyers for like $15, which was crazy, which then led to me doing it for small businesses, and my first design company was called Digital Vision, many years ago. And then so now, after several iterations of an agency, we now have Endurance, and you can see our mark there. And what we do is focus on strategy, identity, and experiential for wellness, lifestyle, and sports brands that aspire to be premium brands. So we're very specific about the premium because the way we go about it is a certain way. We just did this rebrand actually. Like I said, my partner Brandon is here. So you'll have the Wildebeest there, which I don't know if you know, has the most endurance on the earth. The Wildebeest, not the cheetah or the lion or whatever you might think it might be. Some of the clients we have worked with, Rolling Loud, as I said, I toured quite a bit, and my guys at Rolling Loud were some of the first people to ever put me on any type of tour, way before Rolling Loud. So naturally, as they progressed and got bigger, it's the biggest hip hop festival in the world. They brought us on to help out with branding around the second or third Rolling Loud. So we did some brand work with them it was kind of like GTA-esque brand work. Creative Village, Def Jam Recordings, Interstruct, iHeartRadio are just a few of the people we worked with. Why does this matter, Carl? I'll tell you. along the way, I've also been able to work at various startups, right? So I started low-end sales positions, worked my way up to being a manager, and then I always made sure the people above me knew that I was into marketing or I wanted to get deeper into it. And I was fortunate enough to work for founders that empowered me and helped me move up at various companies, right? So I've had 2 different stops at startups where I was able to help with the brand, whether it be internally or externally, and that's kind of how I cut my teeth. So despite not having gone to school or worked for any agency, I had real world boots on the ground experience that allowed me to kind of gain the expertise I have now. Now, within that, you'll see 3 words here: hype, hustler, resourceful. One of my mentors in the agency space, he came to me one day and he wanted my help, and he said, man, I really, really, really want your help. I want you to help me create some hype around my agency and create some hype around my brand. That's what you do. You're a hype guy. I really want you to help me create some hype. Another time, a business mentor of mine said, man, you know what? You're really a hustler, man. I like how you get out there, you get after it, you just make things happen. You know how to hustle. Resourceful. In salary negotiations, my boss, we were talking, and he didn't want to pay me what I was asking to be paid. He wanted to pay me like $45K, and I was asking for like $75. And he said, you don't need $75. You're resourceful. You can make it happen with $45K. And I'm like, I don't really think so. So these 3 words are words that I heard in my journey, and I hated every single one of them. The reason I hated every single one of these words is because none of these words were speaking to my mind or what I know, what I've learned, what I've studied, what I know how to apply. They were all talking about everything but that. What does this mean, Carl? I'll tell you. Our most recent win, that's what we call clients or campaigns that do what they're supposed to do in-house. Our most recent win was with Creative Village. And if you're not familiar with Creative Village, it's where downtown UCF is, the Julian, EA Sports, Luminary Green Park. So it's this partnership between the city and a developer called Uster Development, and it's designed to be a place where you live, work, play, and it's designed to be a place where you can start there, work your way up, go to Valencia, downtown UCF, and hopefully maybe end up at EA or something like that. And they were trying to figure out a way to get people excited about this new development, this new part of downtown that didn't exist before. So at the time, I happened to be living at Creative Village at the Julian, so I said, this is a client that we need to have, because remember, diehard Orlando, and I believe that Orlando is one of the greatest cities in the country, and I travel a lot for its own reasons, right? It's not the biggest, it's not the most sought after, but we have some of the most talented people here. Like anything you can find elsewhere, you can find it here. I really believe that. So this is something that really stood out to me. But I had no clue who to talk to. So I jumped on my sales nav, I jumped on Google, I searched Creative Village. Who's behind this? Who's behind this? Who do I need to talk to? And I found the person I need to talk to happened to be one of the bigger developers in town, and now I have to figure out a way to talk to him. So, I jumped on Fiverr, I paid a guy $5, $10 to do some web scraping for me. How do I talk to this guy and tell him we need to be involved in making this thing go? And so I was able to reach out to him. I told him who I was. I told him that I was in Creative Village at the time of writing him this email, and here's why you need to hire us. You've never heard of us, but you need to hire us to help you make this thing go. And he said, sure, come to my office. And we probably had a 30, 45-minute meeting, and we just talked about the vision for Creative Village, the plan for it. And he said something that stuck out. He said, listen, we've hired other agencies before. We've worked with all of them. I don't want to work with any of them on this because we need a new perspective. We need a new outlook. We need a way to make it look cool. Why does this matter? If we go back to these 3 words that I just told you I hated, I no longer hated them anymore, because what he was looking for was a way to create that hype around Creative Village, right? He wanted to make it look like something that people had to be involved with, and he specifically said, no other agency is able to do this because they're not you. They don't know how to create the hype that you know how to create around it. Hustler. The things I had to do to find out how to contact this man, and I probably spent maybe an hour hour and a half figuring out how do I get in contact with this person, and I did my due diligence and I went around and around and I figured out a way to get in contact with him, and I was able to do that. Resourceful, same deal with the hustler aspect. Once I was able to get there and connect with him, there were things that we were going to be able to need to accomplish that we didn't necessarily have the budget for, and I did charge him a lot. But there were still things that we weren't able to have the budget for, so we did have to tap into our resources. It was certain things that we knew how to utilize that, we would be able to get more bang for our buck, things like post and editing and certain types of angles, and we can use this camera with this lens and get the same effect as the highest end camera. So I had to take a step back and get out of my feelings, get out of my ego, and understand that when people look at me and with either of these three words, it's not because I'm not smart or I don't know what I'm doing. It's not in spite of, it's in addition to. So when you start to think about these things, it's important to remember, and you don't have to be a brand. When we work with brands, we really focus on positioning unique selling propositions. We always try to dig into what makes your brand different from everybody else, because if we're going to be honest, everybody in this room, there's probably like 100 people that do the exact same thing that you do, me included. So you have to kind of focus on what makes you different, what makes you unique, what things are you into that you can pull from that will make you different. And this can be as a student when you're talking with your professor, this can be as an employee when you're going for a raise or a promotion, or when you're trying to get involved in a project. Don't be afraid to dig into those things that make you innately you. That's it. That's all I have. So this is my email address. I'm always around. I always check it. If there's anything I can help anybody with, I'm more than willing to do so. If I do charge, it would probably be like matcha. So that's pretty cheap, right? Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you, Carl. All right, our next speaker is someone who I'm really proud to introduce because she happens to be one of my students. She's a student at UCF. She is a design student. She's also a design leader in the student group. Please welcome Sude. Let's see.
Hello, hello. Thank you. Which one's okay. Hello, everybody. I am Sude Esiok, and I'd like to welcome all of you guys for being here. Thank you, first of all. Second of all, I would like everyone to ask themselves this question. Am I aligned with my purpose in life? And whether you're swaying more to the yes or more to the no, maybe there's something you can take from this talk. So a little bit about myself. I am a UCF student. I have the pleasure of working with Ashley and Victor and learning a lot. I graduate in 2025, and I've also had real-world experience. For about 2 years, I worked at the Wellness Center at my university, and I even got an award. This award was just for stepping in as a marketing coordinator for half a semester. But besides that, let's get into what I really want to talk about. First of all, as we all know, most designers love coffee, so I am a designer. I love coffee. But another thing that I love is dogs and animals. So where am I going with this? What is it about animals? Well, the reason why I'm bringing up animals is because I want to talk about a rebrand I did for an animal shelter. And I'm talking about this animal shelter because this project was the first time that I felt truly aligned with my purpose in life. And when I thought about it, why is this something that I resonate with so much? And it came down to two things. Those two things were that I was working with intention. So every design choice I made had a thought behind it, had intention. And second of all, I was thinking about something bigger than myself. So getting into it, why is it important and how it can benefit us when we think about others, when we act with intention? So we live in a society. It's hard out here, but we live in a capitalistic society. People want to profit off of us, and it can be hard being a creative and having people constantly want us to just do things for them, listen to the client. And sometimes we can just design so we're making money. But to stay true to our integral values and feel like a creator, acting with intention and putting ourselves into every project that we work in and thinking about the bigger picture, it changes that and it keeps us going. Second of all, it is very similar, but we're still artists at the end of the day, and we need to respect our craft. And if we don't respect our craft, how is our bosses going to respect our craft? And so when we do act with intention, and we can even add on that layer of designing for other people, it's going to cause other people to respect us. And last of all, we're going to be creating for a long time, right? Like, this is what we want to do for the rest of our lives. So then we have to find a way to make this last long term. We can get bogged down by society. It can be really hard. But if we keep these core values and we build them on early on, then you're going to create a sustainable creative and workflow that'll keep you creating. So why else does this matter? Well, obviously we want to create an impact, right? We want to make fulfilling connections, and we want to find a sense of fulfillment for ourselves. And this is all great, but how do we do it? Well, I love leading by example. So I'm going to talk about Emory Douglas. I'm going to talk about Emory Douglas. He used amazing techniques to create with intention and have an impact, a huge impact. If you don't know who he is, he's the revolutionary graphic designer for the Black Panther Party. And techniques he did, number one, he joined a cause that he really cares about. Number two, he created subject matter that was going to connect with his audience. And number three, in all of his pieces of work, he creates call to actions like Vote for Survival and free food programs that show people resources in how they can better themselves. Another person I'd love to talk about is Alex Lazarus. So Alex Lazarus uses the technique of connection. If you don't know who he did a rebrand for Linktree, and it's the official Linktree. And he's also worked with brands like Fortnite and Balenciaga. And he works with connection. So one project I'd like to highlight from Alex Lazarus is when he did the Hoagies versus Hunger, where he took what he loved, gaming and design, and he brought people together that love the same things, and he raised money for food for the underserved. I'd also like to talk about one more person, Michael Hype. Michael Hype is a creative director for Nike. And another technique to build and create with intention, and if you're able to have a career that plays with humanity and is able to help others, then this technique is just reflecting back to yourself. I know this is a talk about helping others, but we also have to help ourselves, right? And we have to figure out what we love. So it was a great transition from Carl to me, because here's how to kind of find yourself, right? And while I don't have an image of him, I did get to talk with him. And in this talk, he advised me to ask myself these 3 questions. So the first question is, does what you want to do bring you joy? And this is something you should ask yourself periodically. Second of all, does what you want to do have a positive impact on others? And if it doesn't, how can you resist harm? Lastly is a question you should all be asking yourselves constantly, and that is, am I aligned with my purpose? So, thank you for listening, and I hope you guys find your purpose.
All right, thank you, Sude. Let's give her another round of applause. I think this could be one of many talks she'll give. All right, next we have Kyle Harder. Kyle is a frequent member of Creative Mornings Orlando. You might see him, if you come to one of our past events, you might have seen him or met him, and is one of the co-founders of the Orlando Motion Group here in town, a group that is focused on building up the community of motion design in Orlando. Please welcome Kyle Harder.
Hello. Cool. Thank you, Victor. Thank you, everyone, for putting on this great event, especially for just like different people from the community present. I think it's really powerful. So, as it's on the screen, my name is Kyle Harder. I am a freelance motion designer based here in Orlando. I've been in the industry about, 2024, right? About like 12 years. And before I get too deep into what I'm talking about today, I had something else planned in my head to like lead this off. But after like Carl, Derek, and Suday's presentation, I want to give a little like preamble. Because Suday was talking about purpose, like, am I aligned with my purpose? And I think the longer you are in, creative industry or whatever industry you're in, I feel like your purpose shifts. It can take different shapes, take different forms. And my purpose, it took me a while to really find it in the beginning, it's try to pay rent, try not to go into debt or get out of debt. And since I went freelance back in August of 2022, I've been trying to like find that purpose. Is it, work with the really cool clients, make all the money, choose your projects, have like a 2-day work week or whatever. But, and those are great, I achieved those things, but I'm still lacking a little bit of clarity at that point. So after a lot of talks with some friends and some other creatives, I realized that my purpose, it became a little bit more clear this past few months leading to the creation of this group, is community. So I've been going to Creative Mornings since I lived in Philadelphia years ago. When I moved back to Orlando, I've been going to the ones in Orlando. But community has been my big driver. I lead a virtual community of motion designers online. I mentor other motion designers. I help a lot of other friends in the freelance community just get their bearings. But kind of like leading into the Orlando Motion Group now, I knew that we needed a local, like in-person meetup, now that, especially when people are allowed to be outside more often in the past couple years, I knew that we really needed this. I didn't know exactly what that looked like, but at first it was 4 of us meeting at Disney Springs in July, of all times, to meet up. But yeah, so all that kind of being said is that community is the purpose now. Like, there's obviously a client work side where we got to feed ourselves, but community is what I spend most of my time outside of that in building up. So, the Orlando Motion Group. And maybe some of you know what motion design is, maybe some of you don't. We'll get into that in a second. And I wish my slides were as well designed as Carl and Suday's, but I do animation. So, cool. So who is OMG? OMG is Orlando Motion Group for short. We're a community of motion designers, creatives, artists, and our main pillars are connection, education, and growing this community. And I know it's kind of like a niche community compared to like the bigger just creative art community, but there really is like a strong contingent of motion designers here locally. And that's a little laser. Okay. Cool. All right. So, what the fuck is motion design, right? I'm sure maybe you try to hire people, maybe you try to like, you think animation, you think VFX artist, you think whatever. Like, it can be a very confusing term, but at its core, it's design plus animation equals motion design. And that there's so much overlap with other industries, with like VFX, traditional animation, film animation like Pixar. But really it's design that moves, but also motion that is designed. This isn't a talk on defining motion design today, but you see it everywhere. You see it in commercials, you see it in sports graphics, UI, UX, concert visuals. Again, any kind of design that moves is motion design. Oops. Okay, now who is OMG for? We're a pretty new group, but I knew from the beginning, we were all talking about this, is that it's for all of these people. Whether you're a full-time creative, freelance, a hobbyist, a student, someone who's just interested, you can be a video person, you can be a producer, pretty much anything you identify as, this group is here for you. And you don't just have to talk about motion design. We're people too at the end of the day. So we talk about life, we talk about money, we talk about friendships, all that other stuff. Yeah, we're for everyone. So we'll get a bit more into the numbers in a second, but this is from our our February meetup at Ivanhoe Brewing. We've had a few brewery meetups so far. I think this is our biggest showing. Was it 20 people, I think? And we're just, a lot of these people that we already kind of knew each other, but we have some students that joined, some people that drove from all the way from Jacksonville to join our first meetup, which was, I'm like, it's a daring drive. And this is a little bit of our team that kind of makes it happen. So we have Allie Nichols. She is really helpful on the marketing, content creation, social media side, but also she's got a new interest in 3D, and she is having so much fun. Leo Lopez, he's one of the co-founders. We're the ones who kind of came together to try and build this community, and he's a 2D, 3D motion designer. Mitch Centers, he's been integral in giving feedback, helping out with design. He's another 2D, 3D motion designer, and myself. And some quick numbers. So we've had 3 meetups. Again, we're a pretty new group that we just formed. We're just trying to build some consistency at the moment. We've had 20 plus attendees across the board, that February meeting being our biggest one so far. We have a Discord community, which we'll link to at the very end. And we have over 135 plus social media followers since starting in January when it was nothing. So this just started out on a hope and just a desire just to grow this community. So seeing these numbers, I'm very proud of them. They've kind of probably pale in comparison to other communities that have been around longer, but these really mean a lot to us. And then, this is where you can connect with us. We have a little QR code I'm proud of that I made online. And then our socials too, Orlando Motion Group, we're on LinkedIn, and we have a Discord too. But I guess at the end of the day, I just kind of want to reiterate the purpose, right? I think it's really important to, not always, don't think that you have to find your purpose early on in your career and just stick with that whole thing. Your purpose can change as life changes. So I'm pretty happy with this, where I'm at in this theme of my life, which is community. And I hope you all find yours. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Awesome. I think everyone who knows me knows that I'm a big believer in finding your community, and if you can't find the community, you just build your own. So I love the fact that Kyle that y'all are doing that, so congratulations. I hope it grows, I hope it explodes. So our next speaker is another person near and dear to me. She's my partner, my colleague over at the University of Central Florida. I co-teach with her. I try not to pay her too many compliments because it makes her a little bit, But she's an incredibly versatile designer, artist, illustrator. She just does a little bit too much, and she does it really well. And it's kind of frustrating, if I'm being honest. So please help me welcome Ashley Taylor.
All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here. Let me get in a good spot right here. I'm going to follow Kyle's lead. That was good. All right. Thank you. Welcome to Creative Mornings. I'm delighted to also speak and be a part of the team. It's an amazing thing. We were just talking that everywhere in the world, someone's talking about something really cool, and so I think it's an amazing thing. But so today, I get to talk about typography. I'm a huge fan of typography. I've called this talk Sans. Usually is followed by serif, but I think without typography, this world would not be interesting to me. So without. This is my adoption. So I recovered this from a printer's hell box that someone was throwing away all this type. And this is my little G. It's gorgeous. Can I do something? Okay. This, what we call an ear, and then the loop, the thickness and thins really gets me going. I really love it. I often find that if I'm in a museum, I'm paying more attention to the labels than the work itself, because I'm a huge fan of typography. That's me on the day that I discovered letterpress printing. I think it was like circa 2012, the happiest day of my life. She's so young there, so happy. I discovered artists like Amos Kennedy, and I discovered posters and the power of posters and typography, and only typography, in a way to express ideas and emotions. And so since then, I've always had it in my mind that I wanted to show this passion. And so last year we proposed a show at the UCF Gallery that was all about typography. And I got so excited. The first person I asked was Amos Kennedy. And Amos Kennedy did answer my email. He sent me the work. The ink was still wet, and then seeing this, opening up the box, I was like, oh my God, this is exciting. And then I remembered a thing. We are in Florida. I'm an educator. All right, this is gonna be exciting. But also I had a little anxiety, like, could I get fired for this? Because who the artists I asked were all of marginalized communities, people that I wanted to showcase and show. It's not a show about me, it was a show for me. It was a show for my students and everyone. And so for a good 6 months, we didn't know if this show was gonna happen. We went all the way to the provost of the university, and we told him, hey, we're getting work that's celebrating queerness, blackness, marginalizedness. That's a word, right? And we're showcasing that. And they gave us the thumbs up, and we were like, all right, let's do it. So we did it. I also overcame my fear of rock stars. I approached Dr. Dory Griffin, who teaches at the University of Florida, who's an expert in type, especially type specimens, wrote a textbook. She came to Orlando. I introduced myself and said, my name's Ashley. I would like to do a gallery show with you. That was how I started. And she was like, let's do it. And I was like, you are awesome. And for the last 12 months, the next 12 months, we planned a show. The other thing we had to overcome was the space. I don't know if you know, most type, kind of small. Most posters, also kind of small. This was a huge space. There's the colleagues, and these are the real heroes, the people that helped me put the show together, Larry and Ryan and Shannon, the gallery director. But this was a huge space, so that was also a lot of my, like, are we gonna fill this gallery? Like, no matter how many diagrams I drew, I was like, I don't know. But everything in the show was set in handset type, the very thing that I love and enjoy, and that really truly gives me joy, is every type design came from set type, right? Like the especially serif. This is a typeface called Gothic that is very, very popular, especially by Amos Kennedy, from Amos Kennedy. So we did the show. We called it Type Out Loud. I tried not to over-design the show. The show is not about me, but we did get to have a little fun, of course. I mean, I'm a designer. I'm gonna have some play. So a lot of the walls I tried to bring in kind of the grid system and try to design them like a poster themselves. The biggest thing I fought for is the nerdiest thing is like, we need to have type on the labels. The typefaces need to be on the labels. Like every meeting I think I said that I was like, no, we need to have the typeface. Make sure we do. And they all looked at me strange, like, yes, of course. So this was like how that grid kind of laid out. But again, I needed to take a backseat to the show because the show became better than what I imagined. And so this is the show. This is like the beginning. Dr. Dory Griffin and I, she was the history component. So she created all the historical elements. I brought in my love for printing. So I did a lot of like labels and things like that to show like, you know, type, all the things like letting, kerning, words come from printing. We had type specimens on the wall. And we got to show amazing artists. in a space in Florida. That was like my joy and dream. We showed this amazing timeline created by Dory. We took about a day to wheat paste it on the wall. So just the act of wheat pasting it felt like we were doing something really cool and creative. And the show opened. I think it was a joy. A lot of you all went, and it was awesome to for 1 month in January, celebrate typography. I thought that was just so cool. I mean, she's taking a picture of type specimens. I was like so giddy when I saw that. People were looking at the history of type, the very thing that I love and get to nerd about every day with my students, probably too much. We got to show 3-dimensional works, 2-dimensional works, type in different spaces, augmented reality type. It was a joy. We got to say gay in the gallery, so that was a particular joy of mine. And I, above all, got to say that print is very much still alive. A lot of people think that print is dead or the computer is killing print, but there's so many artists, Amos Kennedy, Ben Blount, that are still printing with type from the 50s, 40s, 30s. They're still making activist art with the very origins of typography in the United States. We made big things, small things, things that allowed us to pause and just remind us to breathe and be still. And we also got to celebrate Amos Kennedy, which is heck yeah. And we did workshops. So Dory is in Gainesville, so we got to have some workshops. And we had in-person workshops, so we had a risograph workshop. And that was really fun. We got to invite, and I learned a lot too. I got to meet Rachel Simmons and Chrissy, who taught us a lot about zine making and the randomness that we can bring into our practice. And above all, I got to bring typography, and I got to see my students in that show, and I got to kind of show them my excitement for typography, and I hope they also had some excitement too. So, thank you. Woo!
All right, thank you, Ashley. That was awesome. And let's give her a round of applause. And since we have a couple of minutes, I'd like to invite Derek back up for one final song.
Well, man, what an amazing morning we've had, right? So honored to be able to wrap this up. I'm not a good talker, I've realized, because all the people that just went are incredible, and thank you so much for sharing your stories. I have realized that I think I did find my purpose, and that's moving people with music. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. So this is another song that I wrote. It's called Where Your Heart Is, all right? Let me know where your heart is. Tell me where you find it. I've been searching for a while now, hoping I can find out. So tell me where your heart is. Tell me where your heart is. Tell me where your heart is. Let me know where your heart is. conversation when it goes down. Something special in this good time. So tell me where your heart is. Tell me where your heart is. Tell me where your heart is. Let me know where your heart is. Whoa, yeah. Whoa, whoa. So tell me where your heart is. Tell me where your heart is. Tell me where your heart is. Tell me. Let me know where your heart is. Whoa, oh, yeah. Whoa. Where your heart is, y'all. Thank you so much. It's been an honor to play some music for you guys and wrap this thing up. Thank you. Cheers.